Hi, I'm Suhas Jagannath, and this is my CS122A Project 3. I decided to do the web PID rewrite. And so this is my PID, and then this is the a pre-existing one. So I'll first go over the differences in visuals and then go over the functionality. So first off, you can see that it goes with a dark theme with a single color highlight. It also uses a more modern styling with all of the rounded corners, and the buttons have reactivity so that they, on hover, they tell the user what you're going to be pressing before you actually press it. I also changed the font so that it is more consistent throughout the entire program, using all sans serif fonts, as well as changing this image here so it's more consistent with the entire feel. As you can see here, I changed the colors a bit to work better on a dark background. In terms of functionality, there's a couple of changes where these buttons are disabled when they're unable to be pressed, so that the user isn't confused that maybe they can continue or reset while it's still running. That's not possible. So they first have to press stop, and then the continue and reset buttons become available to be pressed. The sliders here have a bunch of different values, so that can be changed while the simulation is running. So they have a lot more values than what was originally in the PID. And so this can help to see how the ball weight and the fan power will change the PID. Next, all of the inputs can be changed while the simulation is running, so we can change our desired value, increase and decrease it while the simulation is running and see how it reacts, as well as changing the PI and the D values to see what will happen when we increment or decrement them. And to make sure that we don't change the values by too much by erasing and retyping these values manually, I added these increment and decrementers to each of the input boxes that allow you to change the values by a very small amount to see the graph change in real time. In addition, now we can disable the PI and the D values. So if we wanted to know what the graph would look like without the I, we can do that, or the P or the D with these checkboxes right here. And you can see that the box becomes disabled, so we can't even type in any values. Finally, there's a change to manual control. Before there was an up and down button that controlled the actuator. Now we just have a input text box that can be typed in, as well as this increment feature where if we keep increasing the value, we'll eventually see the simulation increase. There we go. And so when we lower the actuator value manually, we can see that the simulation should begin to decrease. There. So now I'll be going over the code for how this is all possible. So to get all of the theming to work, I just added onto the CSS and the HTML file. Here we can see that I am applying the dark background color and applying the shadow to the boxes that are around each of the segments. And then over here, I am, where is it? It's right here. I am changing the button so that on hover it changes colors, but only if it's not disabled. And then I'm also changing some of the Bootstrap code that was already in place so that it looks more modern. I had to take out some of the style sheets in here to make that work, but in terms of functionality, I was able to have the buttons be disabled and enabled through a attribute. So we can see here that certain buttons are enabled or disabled when the start button is pressed. And also I'm able to change the color of the plot by adding this grid value. I've added these checkbox values to be able to turn on and off the PI and the D. And the ball weight sliders were given more values right here by increasing the min and the max and changing the step in the value. And I'm implementing the turning on and off the P, I, and the D values over here. And finally, for the reset form, I'm basically just turning on and off certain buttons and then setting in the reset function. I am setting all the values back to 0, back to their defaults, so that it can run again. All right, thank you for listening.